In this video, we're going to be ranking the 4 parks at Walt Disney World from worst to best. For this list, I wanted to take into account not only the rides, but the theming, food, and additional attractions as well. All that said, let's start off this video with number 4, EPCOT. Despite its placement here at the bottom, I've recently grown to really appreciate what EPCOT does well. World Showcase is incredible, with some of the best theming you can find anywhere in the Disney parks. While it's a bit lacking in terms of rides, the food is just incredible, with so many options throughout the 11 countries. Where this park really falls behind though is the rides. There's some standouts, like the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but most of the attractions here are okay at best. While my love for Spaceship Earth and Livin' with the Land has only grown over the years, the opposite is unfortunately true for both Soarin' and Test Track. I talk more about that in my ride ranking video, but regardless, I just think that EPCOT's ride lineup is much weaker than the other 3 parks. In terms of quality and quantity, EPCOT is just a bit lacking. Also, while it's a bit tough to judge right now with all the construction going on, I'll admit I never really loved the theming in the front half of the park. Overall, while EPCOT has some truly outstanding elements, I don't think I can put it above any of the other 3 parks at the resort. The food is easily the best of the bunch, but the rest is where it really falls behind. Number 3, Magic Kingdom. Okay, now just hear me out here. For a long time, Magic Kingdom stood as an easy first place on my Disney parks ranking list. It's the quintessential Disney park, with all the iconic attractions you know and love. Despite that, I feel as though the magic of this park has worn off me a bit. Having visited Disneyland over in California, I feel as though that park does what this park is trying to do much better. While it is much smaller, it just feels more personal and detailed, whereas Magic Kingdom feels kind of spaced out and lacking in those smaller touches. It still has fantastic rides, like Space Mountain and Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'd argue that Disneyland has the superior versions of many Magic Kingdom attractions. Still, Disneyland comparison aside, I do think there are some aspects that Magic Kingdom struggles in a bit. The food, in my opinion, is the weakest of the 4 parks, with some pretty standard options, especially compared to EPCOT. There are also some weaker rides in the lineup, which I rarely hop on whenever I revisit the park. Even with all those complaints, I still think this is a very good park. It has some of the best and most iconic attractions in the entire resort, along with some new additions that really strengthen the lineup. Even if some rides are just okay, there's just as many great rides to balance it out. Regardless, I do think it deserves this number 3 spot. It's a very solid park all things considered, but the next 2 parks on this list excel in a number of ways I feel this park just doesn't. Number 2, Animal Kingdom. Just a couple of years ago, I claimed Animal Kingdom was my least favorite park at Walt Disney World. Now though, I've really come to appreciate everything this park offers. The theming is fantastic throughout, with the notable exception of Dinoland USA. Otherwise, the greenery and architecture is immaculately realized, and makes this park my favorite overall when it comes to theming. The food is also pretty solid, with some of the best offerings you can find in the entire resort. The ride lineup is a bit mixed in places like the underwhelming Kali River Rapids, but otherwise there's a lot of great stuff to be found here. Flight of Passage is the best simulator I've ever been on, and Expedition Everest is one of the best roller coasters you can find in Orlando. There's also Kilimanjaro Safaris, which is a huge sprawling space with plenty of animal encounters. Even ignoring the rides, there's just so much to see and do within the park. There's plenty of shows to stop by, each feeling unique in their own right. Taking all of that into consideration, I have to boost it up to the top half of Walt Disney World parks. It's such a unique concept for a park that works incredibly well, with great thematic cohesion and a solid lineup throughout. Still, there's one more park in the resort that I think just barely tops it. That park, of course, is number 1, Hollywood Studios. If I had to pick one reason this park tops the list, it would have to be the rides. You have Rise of the Resistance, Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania, Muppet Vision 3D, and so much more. The amount of things to do in this park is just absurd, especially for someone who enjoys thrills like myself. There's some really great shows here too, like the Indiana Jones Stuntacular and the Nightly Phantasmic. Admittedly though, apart from a few standouts, the food is just okay, and the theming is a lot less coherent than Animal Kingdom is. Still, with all this park has to offer, I can't deny it's the one I always love to stop by. Not only is it my favorite Walt Disney World park, it's up there as one of my favorite parks in the entire world. It has its weaknesses, sure, but as a whole, it just can't be beat. For more on Disney parks, check out my ranking of every single ride at Walt Disney World. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.